So I was recently at this big group dinner and we were talking about love and relationships and all that stuff. And one of the guys at the table started talking about his wife. And he starts going on and on about how he really cares for her as a person, but he just doesn't feel like he's in love with her anymore. He felt like that magical spark was just kind of gone. It had disappeared after they had moved in and just kind of got in a boring routine after so many years of being together. And it really got me thinking, like, what's the dynamic there? What's going on? And what could cause someone to fall out of love? And I think before we start addressing how you fix something like that, I think it's important to understand how we get there in the first place. There's this thing in the world of psychology called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And it's basically a list of all the things we need to reach the sense of happiness, fulfillment, and self actualization. As you can see here at the bottom, we have our basic needs that we have to survive. Then we move into psychological needs. And this is where we're sitting right now. This is what we're thinking of in these romantic, intimate relationships. When you first meet someone and you fall in love and things are exciting and electric, we sometimes get into this state called limerence. Limerence can be described as this intense romantic infatuation or an obsessive love that's characterized by intrusive thinking, longing, and a strong desire for reciprocation. It involves a strong desire for social connection and belonging, which aligns to the psychological needs category in the hierarchy of needs. The intense attachment and longing for the other person fulfills this need for social connection. The admiration and idealization of a loved one can fulfill esteem needs from level 4 by providing a sense of self-worth and validation. The all-consuming nature of limerence can also temporarily fulfill self-actualization needs at the very top. It provides a sense of meaning and purpose. However, this isn't really sustainable or a healthy form of self-actualization. Not everyone experiences limerence, and sometimes it's just that initial spark or honeymoon phase, right? Where we're really interested in the person. In this phase of limerence or the honeymoon phase or just the beginning of the relationship, we tend to put in so much effort. We want to impress them. We want to date them. We want to romance them. We want to do all the things, and you just can't stop thinking about them. The feeling is so powerful, right? And we get that super happy, exciting feeling of love and the butterflies and all of that. But once we do that for a while and you become accustomed to the person, their behaviors, their needs, their wants, everything, you start to get a little bit more comfortable. Then that leads to more and more routine. That can then become boring. And then people stop putting in the work. They stop focusing on all the little things that are so crucial for the foundation of the longevity of the relationship. You stop romancing them and you just kind of phone it in. This can start to lead into the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, which in the world of psychology are 4 different things that are massive predictors of divorce. Once things get too comfortable, it's easy to become complacent. Once things become too routine, it's easy to try and look for some sort of stimulation elsewhere. The little things will also start to get on your nerves much more. If you let this get the best of you, this could potentially lead down to very dangerous roads. We have things like criticism, where you just openly attack someone's personality or their character. There's things like contempt, where you have this sense of superiority or disdain towards your own partner. You could become extremely defensive, where now that you know every little thing about the person, you know how to push each other's buttons, it's really easy to feel attacked or criticized. And then there's stonewalling, where you could actually just put up walls towards your partner and kind of close yourself off. These things are incredibly dangerous for the health of the relationship and could absolutely lead to you completely separating. Love is a feeling and it's a choice. It's not entirely one or the other. In the beginning, we feel this immense desire to choose to love that person. We also feel it so strongly. It's the honeymoon phase, it's limerence, it's the exciting beginning, the new stuff, all of that. But after a while, there's potential, not all the time, but there's this potential that you'll fall into that road of the boringness, the routineness, the disdain, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And then you don't really feel it anymore. And it makes it really hard to choose that person. And because you're not feeling it, and because you're not choosing that person, it creates this vicious cycle and things start to turn for the worse. The relationship work doesn't stop. When people say relationships require work, this is exactly what they mean. You have to pour into the little things constantly and consistently over time and never ever stop. Going back to the guy in the very beginning of the video where I was saying he was just opening up at dinner about all his struggles and how his marriage was becoming so lifeless and just bleh. He said his wife, his soulmate, had eventually just become his roommate. And it was so defeating and sad to hear. And I started thinking, well, when was the last time you held your wife? When was the last time you kissed her passionately? When was the last time you guys went on a date? When was the last time you actually sat down and had a meaningful conversation about where the state of the relationship is and what you can do to fix it, and actually taking action towards those things? So many people forget these steps, and so many people stop choosing to put into their relationship and pour into the love, which then helps foster the feeling, which then helps makes it easier to choose that person over and over and over. These are the things that you miss. And once you start asking these questions, then it becomes very clear where everything went wrong. When you get married, it doesn't stop there. You have to keep dating each other. When you move in, it doesn't just stop there. You have to keep pouring into each other's love languages. There's always going to be something that comes up. There's always going to be a work project or a family thing, or the kids are busy, or we can't find a babysitter, or we can't do this, or we live in this situation. There's literally always something. You have to make the time eventually, somewhere, somehow, some way, because there's nothing coming into your relationship that's bringing you any sense of joy or fulfillment. It's just going to create so much negativity. It's extremely difficult. And I'm not saying this is easy in any way, but that's what, again, people are meaning when they say you have to put in that work. Social media plays a massive role in all of this. How often do you see those happy couples that are just traveling the world and they're super perfect and healthy and everything's great and they seem to have so much money? This is such a small subset of the actual population. And the reality is that most of their life doesn't even look like that. They're sitting there at home, wiping down dishes or brushing their teeth, going to the bathroom, getting sick, driving to the doctors, sitting in traffic. This is such a huge majority of our lives. And if you can master those things, if you can master the little things, you can master all the big things. It would be insane not to be able to enjoy all those other things because you've dialed in the fundamentals. The foundation of your relationship is built on effort, on choice, on fostering those feelings by choosing to date each other, by choosing to talk about the state of affairs, where things are, setting goals, doing new things together, and just reinventing the relationship consistently again and again. If you don't have date ideas, the internet is a wonderful tool to leverage to find tons of date ideas. They could be super expensive. They could be super cheap. You could do any type of activity. There's so much inspiration out there to help guide you and support you along the way. Someone I know was actually really struggling with this and kind of had that same thing where his wife just became a roommate, just a buddy. You live with them and it's so routine and it's okay, love you, bye. Like there's just so much nothingness behind the actions. It's just so automatic and robotic. And I asked him all those same questions. I said, well, when's the last time you passionately kissed? When's the last time you guys had sex? When's the last time you guys went on a date and really, really poured into each other? When's the last time you learned something new about them or learned something new together about the world or other people? I gave him this advice and really helped him come up with a basic plan, as silly as it sounds, right? To like fall back in love. And it was amazing because he had told me that after doing those things and pouring into it, it was almost like this defib on his relationship of like zapping love back into it and re-injecting that spark and that energy. And of course it comes and goes and it ebbs and flows, and every relationship is different. Every person is different. Every dynamic is different. So it's impossible to create a short, compact video that perfectly encompasses every person's situation. However, I can confidently say that if you consistently choose to date each other again and again, and you pour into that, the love, the spark, the feelings that you once had, amazing things will come out of it. The partner you choose is going to be one of the single greatest sources of misery or happiness that you have in your life. So choose wisely and protect it fiercely. Remember to take care of yourselves. Remember to take care of those around you. And for all things psychology to help you think, feel, and perform better, stay tuned right here on Psychology of Living.